Well, good morning, everybody. Hello. Hey, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. Today is Tuesday, February 18th. We are home. Great to see everybody here in the chat. Hi. This is a virtual stitching retreat, the Stitchuation room where you hang out with me. I hope I can inspire you to put something under the needle. And we just got home. Everything's discombobulated. Came home again to something smelling not right in the house. It was pretty potent. It was hi Frito. We were gone for the weekend if you're just joining. Hi, welcome. Glad you are here. Let me point the camera down here so Miss Frito can come over here and say good morning. What are you doing, sweetie? You gonna sit there and be a good girl? Yeah, you gonna sit there and be good? There you go. There's your little Dave biscuit. Yeah, you're a good girl. Well, come here. People can't see you. Come over here. Come over here. Come here, come here. Sit. Sit. Good girl. There you go. There's my pretty Frito. That's a sweet girl. Yeah, you want your stick? Okay. There you go. All right, bye. See you later. There's my Frito. It was the issue was you can buy that frozen riced cauliflower. Well, there was a little bit left over in a container that was sealed in the refrigerator. Well, I went digging around and couldn't find anything on first pass. Then I looked at that. I was like, it smells like bad broccoli. We were gone for 5 days. Open that up. Woo! That was it. Oh, yeah, I know. What did I do this time? I didn't leave it out. It just went bad. And I went through there and got rid of just about everything. Obviously, I missed something, right? Before we left. I'm usually pretty good about that. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I have another shirt, and I had a hard time reading it this morning, but it says, quilting keeps my hands busy, my mind calm. I don't know about that. My heart happy, and my family warm. Isn't that nice? So you can get this at Allie M. Tees. I have a link below. She's real sweet. She's a Texan, lives over by Houston. So met her at the show in Houston last year. So anyway, all right. So we got home, got everything except the refrigerator in the RV emptied out. I will do that today. First off, too, I had talked about doing the Brightly sampler today instead of yesterday, because yesterday we were on the road. I'm going to have to back that up, I think, until tomorrow, because I've got doctor's appointments today, and today is too hectic. There's a reason I chose Mondays. So if you are making that block for this week, don't forget, there is a video from before where I've done that same block, okay? So you can follow that. But I also don't have it cut. So nice words of wisdom. Yeah, it is. Nice words of wisdom, right? So there's been some consternation going around about the Firm Foundation quilt and the panel for the quilt that comes in the kit. And I just want to get, I don't know how, somehow or another on some video, I don't know where or when, it was mentioned that you need 2 panels to make that kit. You do not need 2 panels to make the kit. You get 1 panel, okay, in the kit. This is for the things above. That's this one. These are gone, you guys. The kits are all gone. They're gone from Fat Quarter Shop. They're gone from Etsy. If you can find one in your local quilt shop, that would be great, but I don't know where they're at. So I know I hate unpacking too. I know, Karen. I do. I hate it. What I do is I put everything into bags, like tote bags, quilting tote bags that you get at shows and stuff like that, and containerize everything. And so it comes out in bags, and I put individual bags away, and that seems to make it less painful. Okay, so there are 12 blocks on this quilt, 12 church blocks, all right? And there are 12 blocks in the panel. So 4 across and 3 down. Okay, so 1 panel works for the whole quilt. each print is used twice. So there's really only 6 different prints on the panel, but it's used twice. Okay. So you've got plenty of this. You've got plenty of, don't buy another panel. They're hard to find. I think they're out of print, as a matter of fact. So if you don't need to buy another one, okay? You don't need to. You need one that comes in the kit. There's a whole lot. This is from a line from, it's called a Songbook. And there was Songbook the next page. And so just, those were hymns that were in there. And then this is verses. And so it's from that same line, designer and all of that. Let me see who designed this. Set your mind on things above. It's OEKO text for Moda. Let me see who does it. Fancy That House Designs. Okay. Did this, but I'm pretty sure I think I read that it's out of print. Anyway, I just want to make you guys, if you see anything that says you need 2 panels in that kit, you don't. All right, just one. 12 prints, 12 blocks. You're good. Don't mess up your cutting. No pressure on that, right? I want to show you too. I was working on one of those quarter square triangles. I want to show you. I had to block it. And this is what I really like those magic pins for. The magic pins are the ones with the silicone heads on them so that I can iron those. All right. If you don't have glass head pins, usually glass head pins are for garment making. But the magic pins, I'm not a fan of them for quilting because they are weak. They don't withstand going through a bunch of seams. And so, you can make your own panels with your embroidery machine. Oh, very good, Tina. Good for you. You might be able to do that. I cannot do that. Just saying. So I got my block done and I blocked it. All right. So by blocking it, I mean that I laid it out. It needed to be at 6.5. Okay. And I laid it out, and I had parts and pieces that were cut on the bias that were trying to droop. They were kind of pulling up a little bit and maybe not laying like they were supposed to. So I laid it out on this, and then I soaked it with, I use 50/50 Mary Ellen's Best Press and water. Okay, you can use straight water, whatever you want. I just do 50/50 in my little sprayer here. And soaked it down and then kind of tugged it into submission, into where I wanted it to be. All right. And pinned it everywhere that it had a mind of its own. Everywhere it had a mind of its own, I pinned it. Okay, so it was wanting to droop in right here at these points. This was droopy. So I pinned it right in the middle there and right there. And then down here, it was all pulling up. It was a big arch right here. All right, so I pulled that up. What brand pins do I recommend for piecing? Brenda, I like those Dritz pins. The Dritz, the old, they've been around 100 years. That's these. That's these yellow-headed pins. And then they have different, I think different colors have different lengths. Is that right? Yeah, these are the same length. But I like a good strong pin. These are 1.5 inches, 1 5/8. Let me see. Let me look. These are 1 inch and 3/4 is what these are. You need a strong pin because as you're sewing, and then you're trying to pin those heavy levels, those layers together. These magic pins, they're too weak. They're way too, especially these right here. Let me see if I have any. Yeah. The ones that are the aqua color, these are short, little bitty things. Y'all, I can bend this just by touching it. This is not a good quilting pin. Okay. It's a good, the whole point of the magic pins are so they can be ironed. Okay. That's the whole point of those, because they've got silicone tips and you're not going to melt the plastic tips on the yellow, the little round things. These melt. You don't want that, right? So you've got the longer pink ones. These are pretty strong. They're okay. They're not as strong as the Dritz, but they've got so they have the long pink one, and the difference in the color is the difference in the size. So you have, let me hold these like this. Maybe you can see. Can you see the difference in the length there? Okay. And then those little ones, these are really weak. They're very thin and weak. I mean, they have a purpose, but not for, I wouldn't quilt piece with them. I just don't. They're weak, and I'm not going to, you can feel it just by poking on them. So I only use these. These have a purpose, and these are for blocking. All right. That's what they're for, is blocking. And they work great for blocking. And I put them in at a steep angle like this, a very steep angle like that, so that when I press the iron on it, I can mash them down. It's not going to bend them because they're coming in at that steep angle. And then I can iron right on top of the head of the pin and there's no damage. Okay. You learned something new today again, Connie. All these little goodies in a sewing room, right? So that's just me. I'm not knocking these pins. These have a purpose. In my sewing room, these have a purpose, and that's for blocking. I don't use the yellow-headed pins for blocking because they melt. And I don't want melted pins, and I don't want melted plastic on my fabric. So I don't know what that pin cushion's made of, Julie. The pattern, I had a viewer send this to me, I bet you 5 or 6 years ago, and I have used it ever since. It's from a pattern called Shrooms. I think it's still out there. You can find it. You have them and never knew how to use them. Life as a mom. Those, you know, they're huge. They come in little, the Sew Sampler boxes all the time. They have double-headed pins. They're good. Y'all, it's just me. I'm one of those kind of people where I like stuff that works, and it's got to be sturdy and solid. It's got to be Becky proof, because I'm going to be using stuff and I need it to withstand that. I just am not a fan. So the pink ones are pretty, the pink headed ones, these are pretty sturdy. All right. These little aqua ones, I mean, I don't know about you. Let me look for something here. I can see the difference in the diameter of the pin just by looking at it. Can you guys see the difference in the diameter of the metal in the pin? Look at that. So these little aqua colored ones are too weak to piece with. They're good for, they have a purpose, I'm sure. Probably handwork. That's not me. I don't do that. Okay. And then they have little glass-headed pins. These are the little, hold on, let me hold on to the tip of it. They have these little glass-headed pins, and you can usually find these in red and white. And these are glass head. These are designed for garment sewing. They're super, super sharp. They're sharper than quilting pins, and they are designed to be ironed, and that's why they're glass. Here's its little partner, a couple of them, little partner. That's these. How about that? And they're shorter than quilting pins, because when you're sewing on garments, you're just doing a little. Your aqua ones are thicker than your pink ones. I don't know what I got. They come in a little box. Yeah. So, yeah, blocking and piecing are very different. They're two entire different things. So when you're garment sewing, you know, and you're pinning your pattern to your fabric, you're just taking a tiny bite, and that's it. You're just in and out one time, right? And that's it. And you're doing it usually through 1 to 2 layers of fabric, and it's on a flat. When you're quilting, you need some strength in that pin, and you need some length, because you've got to get through those seams. You got lots of seams you're getting around. So, okay. Got to have the pretty. That's right. We got to have the pretty. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about elbows in cutting, and that started a whole thing. Y'all, my inbox blew up. I like the flower head pins too. I like flat-headed pins. The ones I have in the RV, the little campers, those are cute. Little flamingo toes. Those are from Flamingo Toes. My iron is not on. I need to turn my iron on. Let's see. I can either get a. I gotta walk around, y'all. Hold on. I have to get. I gotta go. I meant to, so I have it set on an Amazon plug to turn on every day at 7. But since we were gone, I unplugged the magic plug. So let me plug it back in. There. Okay. Now we'll wait a minute for it to reboot itself and figure out what it's doing. We had a power outage while we were gone too. Yesterday was educational. Well, and y'all, look, I'm not a professional at this, okay? I'm not. I took a class on cutting years ago, and I'm just sharing with you the bits and pieces that I retained, okay, about cutting. And I get a lot of questions about cutting, and cutting is so crazy important, all right? It's the foundation for your quilt. And if you don't cut properly, it's shot right from the beginning. If you don't have good foundational cut, it's like 10 and 2 on the steering wheel they taught you in the beginning. Remember when you went to driving school? 10 and 2, right? And so you need to learn the foundations of quilting, and 10 and 2 is a foundation of driving, right? Gas on the right, brake on the left, clutch if you were so blessed. Okay. So you have to learn those foundational skills for cutting, because if you don't, if you cut it wrong, it's over. It's totally over. And you can ruin hundreds of dollars of fabric. Did I stay at the Holiday Inn Express? No. Connie. No, I stayed in my motorhome express. In a class? No, I didn't. That's funny. Let me see if my plug's on. I can't tell. I can't tell. Alexa, turn the iron on.
Okay.
That worked. Did all y'all stuff just go off? Hey, you guys, hit the thumbs up button. If you're sitting on your couch watching on TV, grab your TV remote, not the Amazon remote, the TV, not your Fire Stick remote, the TV remote, and hit the channel up button. And that gives me a thumbs up, and I appreciate it. So yeah, 10 and 2, 10 and 2. That's right. Remember, 10 and 2. So I bet you she did. I'm sorry, Sailing. I know I shouldn't have done that, but I had to turn my iron on. I have it set so it goes on at 6. So when I wake up, I love it. I can see the light glowing from my bedroom. Then I know, get out of bed. We've got stuff to do, right? And then it goes off at 7. So, your battery's low on that. Yep. So, sorry, guys. I didn't even, as soon as I said that, I went, uh-oh, because I know I can't say the watch lady's name because all y'all's stuff go off. Good advice, Cindy. She says, never cut at night or when tired or after a glass of wine. I do not recommend that. Just like driving, right? After a glass, we don't want to drive. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today is we talked about elbows yesterday in your fabric. So I went digging through my stash and I found some ugly fabric. And now it's 4 and 8 because of airbags. I found some ugly fabric I looked at and I thought, I don't know when I'll ever use this. So I'm going to use it as an example to cut with you guys today. Okay. I just turned on your iron. Good. Awesome. It's ready to go. You need to be ready to go too. Good. I'm going to turn this down so y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now I've got my, what started all of this was I got an email from a viewer and she said, every time I use my stripology ruler, I get elbows. And then the question came up from what's elbows? It isn't ugly. It's just misunderstood. I know, Pamela. So And then came the question, what are elbows? And so, you know, it's like you think you're going to answer something and you got to back up, right? So that's kind of where we're at today. And to some of you, it could be grass on applique. Yeah, I'll have it. I'll have it. So, but it's ugly. This fabric, I did buy it for leaves. But can y'all, I think I got this in Hawaii at Maui, in Maui. I think I bought it in Maui. Let me see. It's by Benartex. Yeah. New Wave by Carol Breyer Fallert. Sorry, Carol. No, this is perfect for grass, you guys. All right. Hey, if you guys want to think about something to do, Betty Boop is doing a challenge quilt with her guild. And the theme it was movie titles. And it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was the movie title that she drew. So she's trying to come up with ideas for her quilt. So I was thinking like a Nurse Ratched hat kind of thing. But I don't even know if she's in here. If she is, I missed her. But anyway, so I was just, you know, if you guys come up with a quilt theme idea, she can do machine embroidery or quilt piecing, okay, for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So that'll get some of y'all with creative juices, get those flowing, okay. Do I ever cut using the stripology ruler? Yes, Cindy, I do. So that's thank you for getting me back on track, Cindy. So that's what started this whole thing. Was a lady wrote, and she said, every time I use the stripology ruler, I get elbows. And so then it was, what are elbows? All right, so I'm going to show you guys. This is not a lesson for stripology. I'm not an affiliate for stripology or an instructor or anything. I'm a user just like y'all. So I've got a little piece of fabric here from a previous cut. Who knows? So I will press this out eventually here. But so when fabric comes folded from the store, okay, when it comes from the manufacturer, let me open this up. These are my little this is how I fold and store my fabric on these cardboards. These are comic book boards. I buy them on Amazon. So when the fabric comes from the store, it has, you have a, let me put this little clip away or it'll end up on the floor in the vacuum. So you've got your selvage edges, okay, and you have a bolt fold right here, right? So this is the bolt fold. Let me get this so you guys can see. I'll make sure we're not. Am I wide as far as I can go? I am as wide. You actually like that fabric? Okay, Vicki. No, you can't have it. It's mine. So, all right. So usually when we cut, I will go ahead and press. Now, as you can see, when you get things folded, your selvage edges may or may not be even. And in this case, see that? So I don't know if you can see because it's white. Thank you, Brenda, for your sticker. That's very thoughtful. Okay. Let's see. I want to see something here. Let me see what you said, Casey. Hold on. You open your fabric for the first time. You usually really cut one down a torn or cut edge. Then you fold it back on the fold line and match the cut edge. 0 elbows. It's foolproof. Awesome. Good. So I just like to make sure my selvage edges are even. Now, just because they're even on the bottom does not mean that the fabric is folded straight, because you guys can't see the whole thing. Hold on. Let me get you where you can see the whole thing. I got lights and all this in the way. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's say you're off on this. So even though that they're even, okay, if it's folded crooked like this, see how it's got Now it's got that drag line right in there. It's got that ripple in the fabric. This probably wasn't a good one because it's just like, okay, do I iron my fabric first? A lot of times, yes, it would. I do, yeah. I always iron it before I cut on it. I don't generally iron all the yardage at once. I iron it as I go. So now my selvage edges are even together. Here, the selvages are even, okay? But when I hang it up, it's got a fold in it, okay? This probably wasn't a good, because I've got this big ripple right here. Now, you can tell on the edge when your edges are not even. This is, I've really exaggerated this, but my edges aren't even here, okay? So you want your edges to be even. I've already cut on this once or twice, so that's why it looks pretty good. So now the idea with the, especially with stripology rulers, right? The idea with the stripology rules, see this? In order to get this fabric underneath here so that it folds, so that it can be cut all at once, it needs to be folded again. Now, here's where the problem comes in. If you fold it again and everything looks fine, if you've got any kind of little hiccup up under here, you're going to get an elbow. All right. If this is folded, if these edges right here are not even, okay, you're going to get an elbow. So you can see on the bottom, they might be even down here, but they're not over here. So let me show you guys an elbow if I can make one happen. I don't know if I can or not. So I'm just going to line up the edge of the stripology ruler here with an end. Let me make a cut. I'll make a half-inch cut. Let me see. So let's see what we got on that one and see how it goes. Yep, I got a good one. Okay, and that's because it wasn't folded properly. Hold on. Let me open this up and I'll show you. So it looks like it was cut straight. But here we go. So let me iron this so it doesn't jump up. And you guys, I want to tell y'all too, you'll hear me use words like generally, most of the time, for the most part. Nothing is 100%, okay? I'm just telling you my experiences in my sewing room, all right? Again, I'm no expert. I'm just telling you guys my experiences, okay? So let me get this down here now, and I want you to take a close look at what I've got because the fabric was not folded straight when I started. So I'm going to line this up on a line. On this line right here, this is the 8-inch line on my mat. I'm going to line this up straight on the 8-inch line on my mat. And I want you to notice, okay, over here on this edge, I'm at like 1 5/8. Okay. And here I'm at 1.5. So it's 1/8 of an inch off. And right here, there's a wide space. This is up to 1 3/4 right up here. Okay. So that's a little wave. That's a little wave elbow that is not straight. And that's what the viewer was talking about. Okay. Well, hi, Carolyn. Glad you made it to the live. Glad you're here. I'm not an expert, Cindy. No, ma'am. So this happened. I got a little wave in my cut because the fold was not straight when I started. All right. So what you've got to do, they give you the selvage edge. We're talking about yardage. We're not talking about pre-cuts here, you guys. Okay. Talking about yardage. So the best thing to do first, of course, is to iron out your fabric. I've got I'm gonna press this. Can't see the left edge, definitely see. Yeah, you can see the wave, absolutely. Waves are bad. All right, so look at this, how my selvages are not even right here on this end. I'm gonna put them even because I want them to be together so that I know for a fact from the manufacturer, these two edges are straight, okay? And then when I go to fold it, if I hold it up, am I getting a good fold? Does it hang properly? If it doesn't, then I need to move around these edges until it does hang properly, okay? I got too much stuff. And y'all, when I press, I don't press on the diagonal ever. I press back and forth with the weave of the fabric, back and forth or up and down, okay? I don't do a diagonal push because you can warp your fabric. You can warp the fibers in the fabric. So I only press up and down or back and forth, okay? You don't want to do that. That's a no-go. Don't be doing this. Back and forth or up and down. And I can see when I get up here to the bolt fold, I've got a little bit of a ripple that is off, okay? So to smooth that out, I would want to try to smooth that out because if I go to cut it, I might get an elbow at the cut, up there, okay? You had no idea what I meant by elbow? It's a warp. It's a wave in your fabric. Okay. That is one of the reasons I rarely, that honestly to me, that's one of the reasons I've stayed away from stripology rulers. I don't like cutting when it's folded again, okay? So normally I will cut with it laid out like this. This alleviates the need, this alleviates elbows, right? So I'm gonna get a straight edge on this long piece right here. And I normally will cut with the selvage edge toward me. I just happen to lay it up here like this. Hold on. Get these selvages even with each other. Okay. For the most part, it's hard to get them exact, but do your best, you know. So I'm going to get this right on an edge. And I will say this, there's an always, if I have a rough edge right here, I pick something, I pick a straight line on the mat. I make sure the lines on my ruler are even with the lines on the mat. The edge of the fabric, okay, is even with a line on the mat. So this is straight, this is straight. This should be straight, and it's not. There we go. Okay. And then when I cut, I start back here behind the edge of the fabric. Keep your fingers well away from the edge of the, never, safety first, you guys. Keep your hands away, okay? Hold the rotary cutter straight up and down and just cut like that, okay? So this is going to give me a straight edge cut to start with, all right? Now, in order to cut strips with a stripology ruler, you've got to fold this in half widthwise. So you would fold it down. If you've got a little hiccup right in here, you got a little fold, you're going to get an elbow. All right. And I bet you some of you are stripology instructors and you're screaming at me because I've never taken a stripology class. I've watched a video, but that's about it. But I'm like your average user, y'all. That's me, just your average user. And I know that you can cut off the edge on the stripology ruler. It has a thing for that. So That's what this first little one is for, apparently. I don't know. So I'm going to get my lines on the mat, even with a line on the ruler. Make sure everything is nice and straight right here. This looks good. Okay. And on the Stripology ruler, you use the squares are 2.5 inches for binding strips. Okay. You're not screaming at me, Farmhouse Quilters. She's like, I'm not screaming at you. You're doing it wrong. Ah! So if I want to cut an inch strip, get down in there, keep your hands away. See, but you've got to fold this fabric in order to get the Stripology ruler to work. So let's do another one. And it's nice and fast. That's the thing about these rulers, is it's so fast for you to be able to cut strips because you've got markings to tell you what's what. So that's really nice. You just have to know what those markings mean. So when I make sure the fabric is folded properly, my 1-inch strip, let's see. Did I make a 1-inch cut or did I make a 7/8? I don't know. That looks shorter than an inch to me. Maybe I didn't do it right. I might have not done it right on that first one. Let me look at this one's correct. There we go. I didn't do that first one right. That's my fault. User error. Okay. There. So this is exact. That's folded. That's exactly an inch right there. Okay. And then when I open it up on the fold, here's my fold right here. There's no elbow. So you just have got to make sure, and the lady specifically mentioned the Stripology ruler. So you've got to make sure that you're straight on your, selvage edges. You folded it straight over and you don't have any kind of wobbles or anything up in here. So yes, you're going to want to press that first, okay, to make sure that it's right. That would make a cool binding, wouldn't it? Yep. You're an educator for GE Designs Farmhouse. Okay. Yeah. I figured there was 1 or 2 of y'all in here. Okay. I just called it ugly fabric. It's fine. Y'all, that fabric, I can use it on a million things. That's why it's in my stash. I have no unworthy fabric. Well, maybe, but this is not one of them. This is design. Matter of fact, I think I gave some of this to Betty Boop for some leaves on some trees on a quilt she was doing. So anyway, so that's my 2 cents on cutting straight with a Stripology ruler. You guys, these rulers are fantastic. You need to watch some videos on them. GE Designs has got videos on how to use these. And then there's other YouTubers that have got them as well. You can use them for squaring, and because they've got, it's hard to see here. Oh, wait, let me get the glare on it. See those black lines? Okay, so you can square using the black lines. That's really nice, and it's clear, so you can fussy cut if you want. So that's really nice. These are very multi-purpose. Okay. All right, another thing, Pamela's talking about grippy substance on the back of rulers. So if you have rulers that, so this ruler, Gudrun got herself a heck of a deal with Creative Grids. And Creative Grids has some kind of texture. Can you hear it? You can even see it. It's a texture that's on the back of the rulers, okay? There are a lot of rulers that are on the market that don't have any texture whatsoever on the back. And all you have is clear, slick acrylic. And y'all, clear acrylic is crazy expensive just to even get as a wholesale, which is why these rulers are so expensive. So another big tip I can give you guys, if you get a ruler that doesn't have any kind of grip on the back, Fiskars is known for this. You know, you can buy them at Walmart and they're fine. They work fine. They're accurate. They're okay, but they don't have anything on the back of them. All right. So there's all kinds of gizmos you can buy for the back of your ruler. You can get sandpaper discs. You can get little rubber discs, that you name it. Okay. Quilter Select has a thin rubber coating. See how it's opaque? Okay. This is a game changer. Quilter Select rulers, in my opinion, for standard cutting of yardage, are the best in the industry. But they're crazy expensive too. These are an investment. I bet you this ruler was 80 bucks. They're not cheap. But you can get, what did I do with it? It's not here. So I've got quilter. These are from Creative Notions Quilt Shop. They came in the subscription boxes. Okay. And these are, square up rulers. These are for squaring blocks. And see how it's totally clear, right? This thing will slide all over the place. So you need to be sure that it doesn't. And to do that, you can get this stuff called Grippy. I'll show you. It's by Odif. Grippy non-slip coating. Okay. You can get this stuff. You take it outside, hold the ruler away from you, and give it a mist. Very light. That's all you need to do. You don't have to get on there and spray it. You're not tagging it, right? So you just come back, hold it, and just kind of, okay. And I'll show you a good spray and a bad spray because I've done both. Let me get these. I did it on a smaller one. And it dries pretty quickly. Okay. All right. Here's one I did. I did 2 coats. Look how foggy that is. Okay. Will it work? It works great. This is my 3.5-inch square up ruler. See how foggy it is? I did it twice. I had it too close and I did it twice. Both times. So I overkill. Not needed at all. All right. I have another one. Where's it at? Where's my 2.5? All right. I sprayed it on this one. See how it's just a little opaque? Okay. You just barely see it. It works great. Okay. You're welcome, Karen. You just did wonky strips this weekend and you matched the ends. Couldn't figure it out. There you go. So this stuff works really well. It just needs a fine, just takes a second, really. You want to see me do one? I'll do one. Why not, right? We're here. Let me see. I'm not going to do it in here. I'm going to go outside. What's this one? This is my 5.5 square up ruler. So cutting, okay, half square triangles. I took, thank you, Karen, for your super sticker. That's very thoughtful, darling. Thank you. I took several layers of washi tape and put it on the diagonal, okay, to push this up on half square triangles and trimmed around it. And it grabbed a hold of that edge and it worked great. That's another lesson. So let me show you. Here's my 4.5. I don't have anything on this one. I don't think. Let me see. These square up rulers are from, yes. Yeah, I'm not going to say your name because I don't like it. Can I call you Dan instead of that other name? You cut your own acrylic templates with a laser. That's awesome. Yeah. If you've got the ability for that, that's great. So these are from Creative Notions Quilt Shop. She doesn't have any more of these, but these came in our monthly subscription boxes a couple of years ago. And I just kept them all. I keep them in a little clear kind of, this is also from Creative Notions. It came in the box. Those subscription boxes from Creative Notions were awesome just for these. So we got 2.5 all the way up to 12.5 inch in inch increments. We got them all in a year and it was fantastic. So, okay. All right. So I'll take this outside and show you guys. We're going to go out my front door here. Let me put my little thing down. Show you how quick this is. Pretty simple. And it washes off your skin easy if you get it on your fingers. That's it. That's simple. Whoop. That's simple. So now it's got grippy on it. You really can't see it, okay? But it's on there. Very cool. So now this is going to hold really easily when I want to cut my fabric. So if your budget has you using those Fiskars rulers, which are fine, this is not that much. This is not that much, this grippy, okay? This is not that much. Get this and spray it on the back of your ruler. And that's going to prevent this from happening, okay? Because you don't need that. That's a disaster. Not so much a disaster when it swings to this way and you cut it wide. It's a real disaster when it swings this way and you cut it short, okay? That ruins it. Thank you, Susan, for your sticker. That's very sweet. I just want you guys to be familiar with the little tools and tricks of the trade that can make your life a little bit easier when it comes to cutting. Because I hate it when I cut something wrong. That makes me crazy. And especially when you have a kit, they usually will give you just a little bit more fabric in a kit, but not that much. So you're feeling smart today, Vicki? They'll give you enough for maybe a single bad cut. All right. Like you're supposed to cut 1 3/4 and you cut it 1 1/2. And now you're short 1/4 of an inch. And what do? A lot of times you'll get just enough for a little bit more for one boo-boo. And that's it. All right. Because they don't want to be cutting too much fabric in those kits either. You sprayed one like my first ruler. You're tagging your rulers. That's hilarious. Yeah. Getting gangsta on your rulers and tagging them, right? That's hilarious. Yeah. So you can use grippy on any kind of acrylic and it works really, really well. So now I want to show you. Okay, this is dried. It's taken just a second. So let's see. Here's one without grippy. Okay. I can just barely move it around. Here's one with grippy. It's moving the fabric instead of moving on the, see? Same pressure. This big difference. Big difference. Big difference. This stuff works really, really well. Okay. Do I have my panel done yet to change out? No, I don't, Tammy. The panel's blocked. What she's talking about right here. I want to change this out. It's been up here for a couple years and it's time. My big issue with the slowdown on that is the pattern that I want to make is going to be larger than my space that I've got right here. And so I'd have to move out the ironing station and move stuff around. And right now my life, I can't. Yeah. So Cindy, this is good. See? So was it mistakes in your cutting or mistakes in their cutting? Because that can happen too. Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that. You're very thoughtful. Thank you. So kits can be very nerve-wracking because you only get so much fabric. Now, let's talk about this too, because we talked yesterday a little bit about fabric that's not yardage, okay? The elbows thing does not apply to non-yardage. So remember, I was talking about straight of grain yesterday too, okay? I come from a garment sewing background. The design on that panel, Bernadette, is from J. Recker Frisch. Okay, that is She Who Sews. I love J. Recker Frisch. She's got biblical messages throughout her fabric and patterns. So The issue when you are doing garments, okay, you have to worry about straight of grain only because that fabric has to drape on the body. And in sewing, in garment making, it's called draping. And that's exactly what they're talking about, is how the fabric drapes on the body, which is why most of the time when you're going to go around something curvy like a girl, then men, you don't have to worry about it. You're going to make a man's shirt. You can just cut that straight of grain, no problem. But on a woman, you have to make sure that it's going to be able to curve around the body because we have depth and we have curves. Okay. So most of the time you're going to do something that is going to, it's going to go on the bias so that you've got some stretch. Okay. Yes. Always support your local quilt shop first. Okay. So in quilting, you're not worried about curve. Quilting is straight. You are using, I'm talking about quilting with quilting cottons and batiks pretty much, but it's straight of grain. Okay. And you're just quilting straight because your quilt blocks are flat. Your panels are flat. They're not designed to be draped over something. It doesn't have to fit. Quilts always fit, right? So you don't have to worry about that. So when you are working with fabric that does not have a selvage edge, okay, and you get kits, I did do a video, you'd have to look it up, on how to block a panel. Now on these pieces for this things above quilt, okay, again, you only need one panel and one panel comes in the kit. In this things above quilt, if these are not printed on straight of grain, that's okay, because I can fussy cut these, which means to fussy cut, for you new quilters, that's a term. To fussy cut means to take a ruler. Let me grab a smaller one here. Boy, I can make a mess in a matter of seconds, huh? It means to get this centered. So I've got even space over here and even space up top and bottom. And you always want to try to get yourself 1/4 of an inch on either side so that you're not stitching on your print. Okay. Sometimes you're going to on this one. So we're only doing one block a week, Susan. Okay. So when you fussy cut this and you get this just right, if this is printed off grain, you don't even need to worry about that. All you need to worry about is that you've got it cut straight, and that's it. That's all you have to worry about. So if you ended up cutting this a little like larger, okay, and it wasn't, all you're worried about is the picture being straight. You're worried about the picture. You are not worried about the grain line of the fabric. You don't have to, because this is going to be straight. It's not going to curve. Okay. I don't really rip. I do see quilt shops ripping. Now to fussy cutting. The Big Daddy of Stitchuation broadcast. I do see, and Betty Boop had mentioned this yesterday, I do see quilt shops rip like 108s, the big 108 backings, and they'll rip them to get them straight of grain. They're doing that on purpose because you don't want ripples in the back of your fabric and your quilt backs. So I've seen that. I generally don't do it because most of the time I am creating quilt blocks for the front. I don't rip. I haven't. And you need to be real careful about ripping, especially if you're doing something like this, because if you rip this and it's not printed on grain, you can rip right through one of your pictures. Now what do? Now you're stuck. You don't have enough, right? So I don't rip. And that's just what I'm talking about, is if this is printed off grain, it doesn't matter. It's going to sew straight because you're sewing a flat quilt block. I hope that's clear. Okay. I hope that's clear. So are any of the squares in the panel not going to have, they're going to have part of it cut off? I read that in the instructions. Yes, it did say that. Where did I read that? I read that. I read the instruction. You're supposed to read the instructions before you start. A lot of you don't. I know you don't. Shame on you. You should. It says, let's see. You can easily substitute an assortment of your favorite traditional blocks in place. See, these have to finish at 10, and they're much larger than 10. Let's see. So I'm going to end up cutting some of this off. And you have to decide what part you want to cut off on each one. Okay. So for fussy cutting, see, that's the thing on this particular one. She says to make sure that the block finishes at 10. Just make sure they finish at 10, which means if it says it finishes at 10, what that means is you need to cut it at 10 and a half. Okay. Because by the time you sew 1/4 of an inch on each side, you've taken in that 1/2 inch. So on this one, I'm going to end up cutting off. Most of these will have the verse cut off. Okay. So if it finishes at 10 and a half, I'm taking into account the point right there. And I want it to be, I don't want it, or you can do it like this. I mean, it's completely up to you how you want to do it. Side to side, no problem. But if I go down here to get the Proverbs and I have an extra 1/4 inch so I can sew it, it's going to whack off the word trust. This is just how it is in this quilt. So you're going to have to fiddle with it to make it like you want. And every one of them is going to be like that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like panels that are printed wonky. That drives me crazy too. Yeah, it drives me crazy too. But if you look here at the picture, like here in this Trust in the Lord, they've got, this is the one I'm working on right here. They have just, let me zoom it in a little bit. I know a lot of you have got this. Could I make the quilt bigger? No, I'm not going to fiddle with that. I can't do that. That's beyond my skill set. So they captured the top of this, all right, and whacked off a little bit on the bottom down there. Acknowledge him was at the end. There's our hour, you guys. My goodness, that went by fast. Well, I got one of my rulers all sprayed. Okay. That would make you mad to cut all that off. It's just fabric. It's fine. Yeah. So it's going to say in all your ways, acknowledge him. And that's fine. The rest of it, it's still going to look beautiful. You don't have to worry about that. Can I cut a larger block? No. No, it's got to fit. It's got to fit into the rest of the church panel. Okay. Wow. This was good. I hope you guys enjoyed this. These technical ones. Well, that was poor planning. Bernadette, have a little grace, my friend. Oh my goodness. Y'all, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And thank you for bringing me into your home. And if you're watching on the replay, I appreciate you. Hopefully you've got this on while you're piddling around in your sewing room. Maybe you're getting some stitching done or some tidying or something like that, or unboxing. I know some of you are moving sewing rooms, and so I feel your pain. I appreciate you so much. I love you guys. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and so we can spend more time together. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm not going to do Brightly Sampler today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment I have to run off to. I forgot all about it. So got to check my calendar. We'll talk to you soon. Go sew something. Bye.